Doctor, look.
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
Hey, welcome everybody. Dr. Homebrew. Thanks for joining us for another show. We got some good information here for you guys today. We have one homebrew that, again, I don't have and I'm very upset about. So I'm drinking an 805, which I feel like if you can't have a homebrew that was sent to you by a home brewer, you might as well just drink an 805. And that's sort of the credo that I live by lately.
That's a good credo.
Thanks, man. Before we do that, we're going to talk to a couple of Dozers, one of our local clubs out here, about everything that happened, all the drama for the National Homebrew Competition, of course, that was canceled, right? So what are you going to do? You have all these beers. You have all these homebrewers that are counting on someone to judge their beer. They've done all the entry and all that kind of stuff. So what else are homebrewers going to do but help each other out? And so we went ahead with the judging. I say we, like I did a whole bunch for it. And, so we'll talk about that. But first, I want to thank our sponsor, 5 Star Chemicals. You can go to 5starchemicals.com and learn the best way to clean and sanitize your home brew. Of course, that is with 5 Star Chemicals. But look, this isn't a sales pitch. It's more of a confirmation of all the stuff you hear online about how great 5 Star is. So check them out, 5starchemicals.com. And this is also where I would say, like, man, it was really fun hanging out with the 5 Star folks this year. But of course, HomebrewCon wasn't a thing.
No HomebrewCon.
Yeah, but that's all right. It happened. Everything's fine. Brian Cooper, Brian Shar, how you boys doing?
Hey, we're still here.
Right. You're still here.
We're doing good, man.
I recently had my first COVID test. It was really fun.
Really?
Yeah, it was a test I wanted to fail, and I failed. So I had no COVID. I was a very negative test result.
Were you tested because you wanted to be, or were you tested because you were maybe exposed?
Well, a coworker had a case, so
okay, not
somebody I worked closely with, but just to be safe,
Yeah, for sure, man.
It's so not as bad as some people say. It's a little uncomfortable and a little twists, but whatever.
I've heard it depends on who gives it. It's very dependent how it's administered. And I think it's a lot like phlebotomy, right? Where you get your blood drawn, and it's either they hit the back of your elbow, or you don't even know that they're in you.
Yeah.
Well, your prostate exam, but so how much do they shove it? Are you surprised, like how deep stuff can go in your head? Is it like this much, like this much? Like how deep? How deep did they get into your brain?
Yeah, it's like a prostate exam.
Yeah, I didn't really expect how much of it was still sticking out, but it's a pretty long swab that they use. So yeah, but don't be afraid of it. If you need to get tested, go get tested.
And very good. How long did it take for your result?
3 days. Yeah. And so, yeah.
It's not bad, man. I've heard people 17, 21 days. When at that point, what's the point? Either you have it. I mean, you should be staying home anyway, but I know a couple not coworkers, but a couple friends who they work for places that I will not name, but the companies don't give them that downtime between test results.
Yeah.
It's paid time.
Yeah. Different labs are more backed up and different areas are more backed up than others. So, if you go through one of the big national pharmacies or something, and they send it off to a lab somewhere, now, it might be 2 weeks wait. I don't know, but yeah, it's all different.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good, man. I'm glad that you were cleared.
I'm safe. Yeah.
Happy to hear it. Happy.
Can I see how far I can? No, let's not do this. I'm not 7. Let's not do that game.
Yeah. Yes, Brian.
I'm done.
Oh, okay. All right, great. I love it. We are joined by Pavel and Robbie from Club Doze. You guys, how you doing? Can you hear us? Everything good?
Everything's good.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, man. My mass
My glass.
Brian Charles results from his pen will come back by the end of the show, right? So we'll know.
That's true. Well, it'll go through his nose. It has to pass down, on the end, and then we know that everything's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw one of those swabs lying on the street the other day, like when I was parking my car, and I was walking by it and thinking, this would be it's super gross because it's like a Q-tip, but it's not a thing that's like this long.
Yeah.
But then B, it's like, God damn it, that would be like the worst possible way to get COVID, is to like step on someone's old nasty ass used medical waste and somehow have it get into you from some thing that fell out on the street. I mean, man, that would just be it would be hilarious if I survived.
Honestly,
like six months later, it'd be fucking hilarious. But like right then, it'd be like super gross.
I'm pretty concerned about getting COVID, and that's the last thing that I would be thinking about is, I might get COVID from this piece of medical waste. I feel like there's a lot worse things that you could catch from that thing. Brian, did you just leave it there, or do you have it? You're going to show it to us.
I stuck it in my mouth for safekeeping, and I stepped around it and went on my way with my life.
There we go. Okay.
Hopefully.
All right. Well, Pavel, Robbie, let's talk a little bit about judging for the national homebrew competition.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Love to hear it.
Yeah. So Doze is this was our second year of being in charge of our region's first round entries. We had 663 beers, meads, and ciders submitted this year.
Wow.
That actually made to our location. We had slightly more registered, but when the stage for entering was actually around the COVID-19 starting. So actually we got a few emails from the folks that were saying that they cannot drive to our location to submit entries for the COVID-19 issues. Like some schools were getting closed in El Dorado County, for example, and one guy said that he just had to stay in the school and like for an entire week and cannot deliver entries. So we got slightly less.
Yeah. So it was very much in the tea leaves that we knew something was going to happen.
Yeah, right.
Ironically, Friday, March the 13th, we were all sat at Ghost Town Brewing. Big shout out to Ryan and Justin and the guys at Ghost Town who were going to host us for all the judging. They did it last year. They supported us again this year. They let us use their huge cold room for all the entries. And the penny dropped, and we got the news that at that point, just the first round was going to be cancelled. Obviously, the AHA went on to cancel the finals and HomebrewCon as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the first note that came out, they didn't really cancel it. They placed it on a hiatus or just like stopped it until the further notice. But it was like most likely it's not going to come in. So at that point, it was still kind of like unclear whether they will come out with some weird idea. So that was like one of the reasons that we decided, like, well, it's not canceled. We still have a job to do.
Basically, we were sat around with a hell of a lot of beer, wondering what on earth we were going to do.
Right, and that was sort of like the talk of the internet town, I guess, is what about my beers? What's going to happen? What are these guys going to be doing?
Yeah.
So what did you end up doing? How did that play out?
Everyone there that night to a T were like, we need to figure out a way to judge these beers. There was no real debate. To be honest, everyone was kind of like, I don't know how we're going to do it. I'm not sure what we're going to do. We actually went downstairs and we judged a few flights that night because there was some judges there, like 8 of us maybe.
Okay.
As we were trying to work out in our brains what we were going to do. We really had no particular idea, but by the end of that evening, we kind of decided that no matter what the AHA was going to say and whether or not the competition was going to be put on later or whatever, we had all these beers. We wanted to make a plan, and it was pretty straightforward, right, Pavel? I mean, we kind of split it into 2 areas. We wanted to judge all of the hot beers, the light beers, the beers that weren't going to do well in the cold room for months. We wanted to get all those judged first, and we kind of made a deadline. We drew a line in the sand of the date when they would have been judged by for all of the regions. So kind of the AHA gives you a window of maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks for each region to choose their judging.
Okay.
So we said, okay, let's do all the pale ales, all the IPAs, all the light lagers, all the low ABV beers, everything that won't age well, and get all of that judged by the last possible weekend they would have been judged.
It was like August 12th, right?
Yeah, something
like that.
So that gave all.
No, sorry, April. My bad. English is my
Russian time. It's very different.
Yeah, I'm on the European calendar. So.
So that was our first decision, and then the second decision was that all the other beers we knew would be fine and may even actually improve with age, some of them. But as long as we got those judged by HomebrewCon, then we just feel really good about ourselves. And above and beyond that, we hadn't really sort of taken it any further, and we just kind of week by week tried to figure it out. I mean, big shout out to the Mad Z's. They really pulled out all the stops and helped us get some judging done, and our friends at Bay Area Mashers. wherever you point,
wherever you guys are, yeah.
That's the least we could do. Yeah,
I'm pointing to Cooper right now.
Yeah,
we're all in different places.
You guys are amateurs, so we don't know where you are. You guys have done this before.
So what month was this, Pavel? You were saying this was April, or April was your own deadline?
No, okay. So as you remember, at that time, and I think you were mentioning that you were in New Zealand. You remember that everything was changing like every hour, right? Mm-hmm. Or you were in Australia, I think. Like anyway,
Justin was in New Zealand.
So everything was changing like every day, and it would change like twice or three times in the same day, because we were getting the news from the national level. Then like the state had own agenda, and then the county were enforcing their own stuff, and then it's like Alameda County. So we are in Contra Costa County. Alameda is a different county, so they had like slightly different rules, and be like, well, okay, we can still have gathering up to like 50 people in Alameda. In Contra Costa, it was already 10 people inside of the facility. It was chaotic. But the biggest advantage for us was that, first of all, we were in the first weekend of judging. Mm-hmm. We were the first location to judge. So, and also we, I think we covered almost 25% of all entries in that week. So we pushed everything to the satellite judging, and that's where actually the Mazes came in for helping us. And I don't want to take the credit from them, because they were actually the ones that actually got the message from me on Thursday, the night before the official judging, that it's canceled. And they like, it was kind of like that scene from the Titanic where the quartet was playing, and they're like, gentlemen, we should play.
Let's carry on.
Yeah, we have a job to do. Yeah, we got paid. I would be like the guy who dressed up as the woman to get on the lifeboat. That would be me. Like, there's no way that I'd be doing it. And so that's sort of why I'm asking, like, for me, that sort of weekend in early March when we were starting to hear about it really more and more, I went to like exchange my tracksuit at the outlet malls in Vacaville, and I'm like, and I'm nervous about it because even though it's not dawning on me yet that it's in the States, but it's not saturated in the community. Like it was a super low risk by then. So did you guys have any concern about that? You have 8 people in a room still judging beers. Everyone's exhaling on each other.
That night we were, I think like most people back then, it was like you described, JP. It was kind of this is happening, but it wasn't, like we are now, where sort of social distancing and masks and everything else are drummed into us, and it's almost unfortunate, natural.
It was the phase where we started to figure out that, okay, like some people were like handshaking and stuff, but I was already in the elbow bump phase. I was like, hey, how's it going? And like just kind of starting to get used to the weird new normal that was coming on to us. And we didn't know a lot about it and how it was spread yet, but I tried to, we sat across the table from each other, but we were.
I mean, that's probably would have been the safest time. Like, I don't think you would do this now.
No.
The problem is that like the AHA had to cancel it because some places across the country already started to place the lockdowns on the facilities. And I think, from my understanding, the location in Pennsylvania was actually closed. Like the county where the beer was stored, so the people could not actually get to that facility. And for Contra Costa and Alameda, the lockdown actually came on Monday after the weekend that we were supposed to be judging. So in theory, and again, like safety-wise, I don't know, but by law, we were still okay to go and perform in groups below. I think it was 100 or 50, something like that.
That was what
So yeah, so we had everything prepared, and at the same time, I was getting ready to go to Colorado for the Mazer Cup. They were saying that we're still gonna continue, we're gonna push to everything. So we brought the paper to cover the tables. So like after each judging, we can dispose the paper. We had extra plastic cups. We had the station for the hand sanitizer. People were encouraged to come in with masks, and when that was canceled, we pushed the message, but we still show up on Friday, as Robbie said, and we were actually wearing the protection because it felt kind of weird, like that, the movies that you always see and you expect like the zombie apocalypse, to appear, and it's like contagious, or that's like a residential evil. So you're like you kind of like in this. You're in this game, like it feels like it's a first person shooter or whatever, and like things about to happen. You kind of excited, like, oh my god, I've been preparing for this all my life. I've been
training for.
So yeah, like,
except the T virus and Residential Evil spreads a lot faster though.
Yeah,
or in The Last of Us, you turn.
But that's what they told us, that it will be spreading like. You just have to be like within, and like you will get that for sure, and like surface and stuff like that. So people were afraid, but at the same time kind of excited that, oh my god, we're gonna experience something. So then for the next 2 months there was nothing, and then like only after that it happened. Like, oh, apparently it will happen, but it's not the way that we predicted. So again, like we had already 25% of the beers judged. We knocked out the IPA the same night, and we're like, well, gentlemen, what we're going to do, we can just go home and forget about it, or there are a bunch of really cool IPAs in the fridge. Anybody wants to, like, so we decided to drink, and then well, we actually have a beer to drink. So big thanks to Ghost Town, because they kept all the entries. I know that some locations could not execute that competition because of that, because they could not store the entries, so they had to be dumped, which is kind of like a sad thing, or turned into sanitizer. And the thing is, like, every person that entered this competition, and the NHC is the biggest competition in the world, so people actually bring the best they have. They nurture their stuff for years, like they spend like time on that thing, and as a judges, like we only spend like up to 15 minutes at best if we have opportunity, and so dumping everything and just forgetting about that was it felt like a crime.
Well, there are a lot of members of Doze that compete, both in the regional and the national level. So I think we have a lot of people in the club that know what it feels like, better or for worse, judging, score sheets, the whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was part of our decision-making process as well.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a sense of duty, especially as homebrewing is sort of the community that is, well, I mean, obviously it's a very DIY, but it's, if you want it done, you have to lead by example in a certain regard with that, especially with judging and getting people more active in the judging scene. So, I appreciate the fact that you guys were able to do, whatever you could. So how was it? So you had 25% done. How do you get the rest done?
A lot of small group judging. So we did it two ways. We did some very small groups. So we allowed up to a maximum of 6 people in a session, social distancing, everyone touching their own cup. So we kind of developed some. But
that didn't start until the end of April, early May. Before that was all online.
And then we did, yes, the other component was virtual judging.
Oh, okay.
So you took the smaller tables that the flights were manageable enough that you could do it between 2 people with 2 bottles.
It depends on what you say manageable, because I think the biggest flight we had online was 27 entries.
we have some beasts of judges that like challenge. So there was a couple of exceptions. Harinder and Dan Sherman, if you're listening, we are talking about you guys.
So yeah, we had two national judges. One of them was not national at that point, though. It was national potentially.
But,
so two national judges doing that flight. Actually, like they broke down the 27 flights into 3 smaller 9 entries each. They spent about 1.5 hours on each one of them. They took like a 10-minute break or 20-minute break between the flights. After every time they finished the flight, they would recap the bottles and put them back in the fridge. And then they would select like everything that you would do in a competition. You select like 2 to 3 entries from each flight, and then you do a mini boss again like this way in front of the monitor. And we did the same thing with meads for bigger flight for like I think 15 entries. So we did 2 flights, and then we did a mini boss over the camera, which was kind of interesting experience. Yeah. It takes longer though. In reality, like when you judge in person, you can finish the 10 entries easily within like 1.5 hours. Because like again, like it's a BGCP, we do it's AHA, like we do the checkbox scorecard, so it's about up to 10 minutes per entry.
Yeah.
But what we found actually when you start doing it over Zoom, it takes much longer. So like almost like it gives you extra hour on top of what you're supposed to take.
Really?
I know some people are skeptical about how that could work, and there's going to be bottle variation and all this, but I think from what you guys reported, it seems like it worked pretty well.
It would
be there's some trust in the judges, right? So people, you know who you're judging with, and so I think that debate of if there was a wide difference in judging sheets, we were able to have a very honest conversation about why and could this possibly a bottle variation problem. Judging in person is not a perfect science. We all know that. As much as we like to think it's objective and perfect in every way, it's not. It's incredibly subjective in many senses. And you still have the same problems with things like bottle variation. Even at a table, you pull a second bottle, you try it, but then they don't have anything to go to mini best of show, so they're shit out of luck anyway. There's problems either which way you do it. We just we knew it wasn't going to be perfect, but we knew it was the only way we could get to judge the beers safely, and that quite frankly was good enough for us to try it and get where we did, and I think successfully and safely. So
yeah, the bottle variation, that's the first question that was asked, because we announced on the BGCP forum on the Facebook that we're gonna do it that way, and there were lots of skepticism from the folks.
Of course.
But people would like oppose everything. Like hey, we're gonna do this because otherwise it's not gonna happen, and they criticize like that's not how you do it. Like. Yeah, there is no other way to do it at this point. Like that's like either we dump it or we do it like the way we do it. So the bottle variation, you have 2 bottles, right, for this competition. Let's say the first bottle goes to the regular judging, and you score 40 points. You go to mini boss, and something happened, and the second bottle is screwed up. So on the mini boss, you're gonna get kicked out right away. Right, so you will not place and you will not advance, and no ribbon for you. So that was the case when we were judging over the Zoom. So like one person will get a good bottle, another person will get a bad bottle, and it happened a couple of times. And so that's the same thing. Like the judges would be, let's say, in real competition, you're supposed to be within 6 points or 7 points. For NHC, we try to be like within 5 points, maybe like 4 points, because you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
And there were cases where the judges were literally like 10 to 15 points apart, which happens rarely. And in a few cases, they were not able to negotiate to the middle point, because like one judge would have definitely a bad bottle, and another one would have a really good bottle. So, well, in this case, you don't advance. That's the thing. Like it will happen the same way in the real judging.
Yeah, that kind of evened out what might have happened anyway. Either it would get kicked out and not make it to the mini boss, or it was good in the first one and then got to mini boss and got kicked out.
I can't imagine.
End result is it got kicked out.
It's any different. I mean, we get bottle variation on Dr. Homebrew.
Yeah.
You know, people send in 3 bottles in case one breaks. We treat it just like a competition. And sometimes you crack open that 3rd bottle and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Anyway, it sounds like you guys treated it just fine. You're right, Pavel. There was no other way to do it. You guys wanted to give people their scores. You wanted to complete your task. I mean, you know, these people paid money. They spent time to do this.
I think they got reimbursed. It's not about the money, because like it's what I forgot the price for the entry. It's not about the money. It's about like seeing your the sour beer that you blended from like 5 different barrels getting dumped or turned into a sanitizer, because you cannot put the price on that entry. Like, yeah, okay. I mean, some people, yes, like especially like people started to get losing jobs.
$100.
Yeah, so AHA actually reimbursed those who wanted to be reimbursed.
Nice.
So still, the question was like, it's how much you value your homebrew, and like, do you think this is actually worth of getting dumped or turned into sanitizer? Which is interesting question. Was it actually turned into hand sanitizer? Was it actually used? And like, what's the difference between the 5 years old Lambic and let's say white American lager turned into hand sanitizer?
Right.
Tag
Yeah.
With
Wow, that's a,
left out for the bottling crew at the brewery or distillery or whatever, right? Like, it's hard to tell.
That's great.
no,
I mean, I think
so
the other thing that I would just add to what Pavel was saying is it also just gave a little bit of a sense of normal in a very unnormal world to everybody.
So and then you guys took it to a whole other level and did an actual an unofficial awards ceremony for it. And so my question is, like, did you have this planned from the beginning? Was this your intent all along to announce first, second, third?
Would you plan it that way? We planned some sort of as Robbie was about to say. I'm just like stealing his thunder.
Pavel is my official spokesman. Please carry on.
So Robbie mentioned before that we were trying to finish it before the NHC, because the NHC got canceled, like the on-site, and it went to the virtual world, and we were trying to finish it before that. So maybe we can make it like a part of the HomebrewCon, virtual HomebrewCon, and they were not really ready for that. So we were still going to do like some sort of the ceremony, because just before that we also went to Zoom mode for our club meetings and stuff like that, and it was not designed to be that way from the beginning. We were going to just read them from the spreadsheet and announce. And
set the bar really low. Honestly, we'd have been super happy had we just got the score sheets to everybody.
For sure.
Right.
That was really
the
at the very beginning. That's where, like, if we can succeed in that, holy fuck, you know?
Right.
Wow.
But in the end, you got Sean O'Sullivan, you got Gordon Strong, you got Justin Crossley,
got a little
all
crazy.
these guys, announcing the different categories. And it's really fun to watch. If you go to Doze Club on Facebook, you can go to that live event from last Saturday, I believe it was.
Also on YouTube's as well, Doze TV.
YouTube. Yeah, look up West Coast Unofficial NHC results. Yeah.
We just kind of we took a risk. We figured, to Pavel's point, once we realized that we should have announced it ourselves, we were just going to read it. A couple of club members had volunteered to read the list off a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
We'd all crack open a beer. We'd be like, woo, we did it. You know, like, maybe my mum would tune in England, and that was about it.
It was all the local Bay Area breweries, like the ones up in your area, Del Cielo from them to like Vinny at Russian River to, everybody,
It went across the country. We got some meadery from New Jersey in Lavina. We have a cidery from Vermont, Hidden Cider announcing. We had folks from the cider maker of the year.
Yeah.
From Michigan.
Ken Grossman announced our non-Cassie award winner. We decided that instead of having
seriously, Ken Grossman did it.
I loved that. Wow. That was great.
We got into
non-Cassie.
I asked Charlie Bamforth, who I've done a couple of with at UC Davis, and he's been in the club a few times, so I reached out to him and he said he'd do it. And then while I was talking to him on the phone, I was like, you think you can ask your new boss if he'd be interested? And Charlie did us a solid and put it out there. I kind of had to be humble pie, and I mean, not to make this a football talk, but I was like, he supports Wolves. I'm an avid long life Tottenham supporter. Wolves were just above us in the table, so I could kind of like play that card with him, and he totally fell for it, thankfully.
Yeah, all you have
that's
how you butter Charlie up.
Yeah.
Talk about Wolves. Go, wow, you know what? You guys got promoted a couple years back and you're doing really well, man. And you just doors open for you. I'm a Liverpool guy myself. Yeah, I know.
Congratulations, JP. Well done.
Thank you very much. I want to it was all me. It was my support that did it. That sounds really cool. Would you guys do something like this again if you had to? God,
yes,
forbidding. I mean,
okay.
It sounds like a very unique experience.
No, actually, here's the thing. So it was really, I wouldn't say surprising, but it was nice to see the support from the community, and not only from the homebrew community, but also from the commercial. And I think it was like a cool opportunity just to do something to feel normal again, as you guys said. Like, you know, like it almost felt like normal. 2 weeks ago, I went to the Hub Grenade, and it almost felt normal, almost the same, except that I wasn't able to sit inside, but I rarely sit inside. I sit outside anyway. And it was just like almost like back in the good times. And so I think if we decide to do it again, and I mean, technically we probably will, at least we're talking about that, and looks like it was a huge success. I have a feeling that people will support us again, and we're not quite sure when this whole thing will be over. Nobody knows how long it's going to continue, but just, you know, doing things like that and being on the same level and connecting not only with the commercial but also with the homebrew side, it always feels nice, and it just showed us that we are one thing together, and we never been closer than right now. So
yeah, it really felt, I mean, I'm not a particularly spiritual person, but it just felt really good to put it out into the community and to see, I mean, we had 100+ people watching it live, like 2,500 people have watched it on Facebook since. There's like 400 people on YouTube. It's getting out there to the people we wanted to do it for, and that's super cool. And the fact that, like, I mean, big shout out to Jamil, who actually is he's doing a brew day with our non-Cassie winners, so the people that won the most ribbons in our very unofficial award ceremony.
Wow.
They're going to get to brew their beer at Heretic. Lester, out to him at Bear Bottle. So everyone who got a first place in all 35 tables.
Okay.
We'll get a special invitation to a homebrew competition that we're going to hold in conjunction with Lester at Bear Bottle. And the winner of that will get their beer brewed and canned at Bear Bottle. All first, second, and third place winners got vouchers from More Beer. Like this whole thing, like it really, like none of this was planned. I'd love to say it was. It wasn't. We put it out there, and people just started responding.
To me, it just shows you how together and communal the homebrewing and judging communities are. It's one big group of people that a lot of them know each other, some of them don't, but you just get together and you judge beer, talk about beer, and like good things start to happen, you know? That was great.
It strikes me as also, you know, the few competitions that I've organized when I was working at More Beer, that, you know, we had our own little, you know, sort of competition we would do on the forum, and organizing that judging day it's sort of stressful. It's stressful to organize that. You're having people driving from Sacramento down to Concord or from Fresno or wherever, right? And you got to get them bagels, and, you know, these people are drinking coffee before they're judging light lagers, so you have to judge them a little bit. It's all this kind of stuff, right? But I wonder if it's just like being quarantined and working from home is sort of making employers rethink and redesign the workday for employees at home. I wonder if this is sort of redesigning that. Like you can do a virtual judging. You don't need to have these judge court. You can have, as long as people in New Jersey or Utah get the beer, you don't need to have everybody in one room anymore. You could do it, and it's a little bit easier on everybody's timetable. and maybe you give them 2 weeks to get together with their judging partner. Has that sort of ever struck you too, or do you think once everything's open, we get our vaccine and everyone's fine and the whole thing's dead, we're going to go back to smelling each other?
I don't know about the smelling part, but
that's what I do. I mean,
I think we've proved that it can be done. And as Pavel alluded to earlier, there's always going to be naysayers. Haters are always going to hate. Everyone's going to find some excuse, whether it's virtual judging or real judging, whatever, to knock you on something or other. But I think we've proved pretty successfully that it can be done. Mm-hmm. Whether it should be done only this way moving forward, if we go back to some kind of new normal, I think is a debate. I think there's benefits to both, but I think there's also the option to do both. To your
just as an option,
you can fold people in that way and make it more inclusive as well by doing that, by removing the barriers of everyone. You have to be at Ghost Town for these specific 3 days, or you can't participate. So it removes, I think, some of that, which I think is super cool.
I agree.
Being a part of the judging was fun, and then at the end, the Madzies took another table, a big Belgians table, and they had aged well, the strong Belgians, and there wasn't really a stinker on the table. And then the best of show was really hard to do. We did it safely, distanced, in my buddy John's backyard, and got it done. And that part of it was fun, and it was kind of like normal judging again, getting it back into a new normal. But the funnest part for me was just sitting down to that award ceremony and there was a glow. There was a buzz.
You gave a very heartwarming.
There was energy in the air, even though I was.
You did a speech. Oh, damn!
I gave a little toast out here, but whatever. We were just out here.
Are you crying? Are you crying right now?
We got to play.
It feels like you're crying.
It was part of the entertainment. We had 3 musical breaks so people could pee and drink beer during the ceremony. So we had some great music throughout it.
And one of them was actually Brian Cooper.
The Hoppy Beer song, and my brother Jimmy on that one. He does the guitar solo, and
nice.
Yeah, that song. We rip off Ren and Stimpy, we rip off Fish, and maybe the Beverly Hillbillies. I'm not sure, but it's search the Hoppy Beer song.
JP was second on my list of people to ask for the British and Irish Scout.
I thought
I would have been there.
I thought it was a heavy beer.
Next year,
I would have done it. One more question before we go. Who is more stoic, the Russian or the Brit? Who shows less emotions?
That's a very good
question.
So
you're saying the Russian bear versus British lion?
Sure, we could do that too.
We're doing our own kind of Firestone Walker thing here.
Yeah, we have a no, where is it? Right here.
Forgot about that. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
All right, guys, we've been out here in California for 20 years, so I miss people now, which is really weird to say as an English person. So.
Yeah. I feel like you're more in touch with your emotions being out in California here. So
it's a big game. So at the end we were back going to Titanic thing. We were gentlemen, it was a pleasure playing with you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thank
you guys did a great job. Yeah, search Doze Club on Facebook or go find it on YouTube. But especially if you haven't seen the award ceremony and entered the competition, you don't know how your beer did. You can at least find out who beat you.
Yeah,
it's 90 minutes of gold beer.
Love it. Tune in for Brian Cooper's speech and stay for Ken Grossman's introduction.
There you go.
Sure, probably went as well as Brian Cooper's speech.
Yeah. It was cool. He's a good guy. He's great. It was very heartfelt.
Not to belabor this, but the last little story is dear Ken kept texting me because at his house compound, wherever the hell he lives,
right,
he has terrible internet signal. So I just imagine him kind of walking around the property with a cell phone, trying to find 2 more bars. And he eventually had to go to the brewery so he could send us the video. So Ken,
probably just
I'm sure you're watching.
Like,
Ken. Thank you very much. You really went above and beyond. Doze loves you. Go Sierra Nevada.
Now Ken's great, man. I love that guy. All right, guys, we'll let you go on that note.
Thanks ever so much for having me.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Peace.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break here. We're gonna come back. We're gonna get Brandon on the line. And what beer did he send in, Brian? Because I don't have it. Oh no, I do have it.
This would be a specialty wood aged Imperial Stout.
I'm excited. I have this one. I'm gonna get it. We're going to take a break. We'll get Brandon on the line. Hang on. This is Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back.
Now, back to the examination.
All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Dr. Homebrew. Thanks for joining us. I had a good time talking with the Dozers about their little, I guess it was impromptu or short planned virtual ceremony. I thought that was a good way to handle that.
It turned into something really cool. It was a good event.
Yeah, I like that. Joining us now is Brandon. Brandon, what's going on, dude?
Nothing much, man.
You're just hanging out at work.
Hanging out at work.
That sounds like it sucks.
Yeah, real fun.
And usually we try to have the East Coasters on early, but oh boy.
Yeah, it happens, man. It happens. So are you getting paid to be on the show right now?
For the next 9 minutes.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll try to go fast. What beer did you send in for us, man? What beer?
So it's a spiced. It's a stout, aged in a spiced rum barrel, adjuncted with toasted coconut, vanilla beans, and some cocoa nib.
See, this sounds exactly like something that I would really enjoy. What kind of spiced rum barrel? Is it like a homemade kind of flavored thing, or is it a commercial spiced rum?
It was a commercial barrel. I don't remember what it was. This was a while ago, and I normally I'm pretty good at making notes for that, and I couldn't find them, so
failed.
Actually, my buddy just shows up at my house with a barrel and goes, "We're putting something in this." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Was it like the only two spiced rums I know are like Sailor Jerry's and I guess Sailor Jerry's is the only spice. Oh, Captain Morgan's, I guess.
Captain Morgan's.
It wasn't from one of those two, right? It was like maybe.
No, it was more like craft style.
Okay. All right. Did you have any of the rum beforehand?
I didn't. No.
Okay. All right. Well, wow, Brandon, you're really letting me down here, dude.
So this beer will never ever be recreated, I'm guessing.
Probably not. No.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, Brian Cooper, why don't you go ahead and go first, brother?
All right, let's do this.
God, this smells like vanilla ice cream, dude. God.
The label has all this information on it here.
It smells like
spiced.
It smells
rum
like
barrel.
Vanilla ice cream with like fudge and like caramel in it. It smells amazing. God, bro.
So yeah, spiced rum barrel aged Imperial Stout with coconut, vanilla, and nibs. Entered as a 33B specialty wood aged beer. The name of the beer is Coconut Hammock. I wanted to ask what's the inspiration there? Is it just the feeling that the beer gave you, or what was it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like somebody came up with it.
Right. Well, because it's got a kind of an islandy, kind of flavor to the name of the beer. I liked that about it. I didn't let it color my impressions of the beer, but I did enjoy that part of it. And you got up to 10% ABV with the beer, I'm guessing, and then plus whatever rum was in the barrel.
Yeah, 13.1 before barrel.
Oh, 13.1. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, here we go. It opened up with a good hiss. It actually, you cracked it, and it like, I don't know if there's something still going in there but it was a nice indication of some liveliness in there. In the aroma, I get a big coconut first, and then a booze barrel character with some faint vanilla mixed in with that, and a medium low chocolate below that. The malt is roasty, rich, smooth alcohol is in there, definitely at a medium high level, but it's not sharp at all. It's just everything's smoothed out in this beer. And the malt is it's roasty, but it's smooth. It's not burnt. It's chocolatey, but it's not like dark chocolate. It's just like smooth, not really milk chocolate, but just kind of like
It's like really, it's like a 70% cacao like bar where it's high quality. It tastes like, and there's a little bitterness to it, but not overwhelming. But also
craft chocolate.
Yeah.
You want to take over for me? Just keep going. I know you don't have the beer, but you got this covered, JP. You do it.
Fax me your notes. And
okay, just read them here. Yeah, it's all here. It's all here.
Okay. No.
So that's just in the aroma. There's no diacetyl, no acetaldehyde or anything like that. The esters, the fruity esters are moderate, just kind of below everything else there. But yeah, appearance-wise, it pours a medium-low tan head at first. Of course, that fades pretty quickly because it's such a high alcohol beer. That's fine for this kind of style. Dark brown color. It seems clear. I can see it through my leg lamp. It's not hazy. Bubbles are finer. Finely formed collar at this point and a little cover. It's a nice looking beer. I couldn't really knock it for appearance. In the flavor, again, echoing a lot what I got in the aroma. There's a big coconut, but not too big. It's smooth. It's not overpowering. It's kind of like a coconut cream pie in a way. It's with stout and booze behind it, of course, but it's definitely balanced to the malt, but also some of the specialties are balanced in there in a really positive way. I feel it's like a cleanly fermented, smooth, and a very firmly alcoholic beer, but it doesn't bite you in a harsh way. Even the booze, and there's some definite booze in the flavor. The rum is smooth and inviting and warming, and just really nice. It's somewhat sweet in the finish, but it's not cloying. Of course, there's no hop. And it's just the bitterness is fairly low and out of the way. Just some roast and chocolatey malt flavors in there. Not a lot of coffee or anything like that, but the coconut just kind of plays throughout. It lingers into the aftertaste with everything else. The coconut is probably the dominating factor here, but I'm not a huge fan of coconut in general. I don't make things with coconut very often. But I really enjoy the coconut in the beer and the way it's playing together with everything else here. It's a smooth beer overall. In the mouthfeel, it just, again, the smoothness just shines. It's a fairly full-bodied beer. The carbonation is, I would say, medium to, I would say it's just medium. It's not over the top. You won't want to get too crazy with the carbonation here, or it might start biting a little bit. There's no biting or harsh quality to this beer at all. And I don't know how long it's been aged or how long it's sat in the barrel, but there's no astringency. It's just creamy and smooth. And pretty much that sums it up. Overall impression, I would say it's a nicely balanced beer with all the declared ingredients coming through to different degrees. The coconut wins. The vanilla is in there, and it gets some vanillins, of course, with a booze barrel. I would say the actual vanilla is coming through a little bit, and the nibs are coming through a little bit, but in a supporting role. But I don't mind that.
Maybe you do have COVID because you're getting a little bit of vanilla.
Well, there's some definite vanilla in here.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure. I just want to clarify.
But I'm trying to decide if it's from the booze barrel or if it's from the nibs. So I'm not getting as much of a nibs-like character as I'm getting like a booze barrel thing. So I would, I don't know that bringing up the vanilla is going to help it more, because there's plenty of vanillins in the beer from the booze barrel and the vanilla that you put in it. If you're
don't put more vanilla in. No. Don't put more in. Don't put more in. It's good. It's great where it is.
It's sorry. Okay. Yeah. I think to me and maybe it's because I'm sensitive and I know, coconut's maybe not my favorite flavor in the flavor spectrum, but it's poking out to me a little more than the other ones. So I'd maybe dial that back a little bit and bring up the chocolate a little bit. I think the booze is okay where it is, the booze / vanillins, and maybe I'm just kind of perceiving them together at this point. But it's a very nice beer. I'm landing at a 41 on this beer. I just think it's a very high quality because of the overall smoothness, because of the label says 10%, but you said 13 something, maybe with the.
Yeah. Yeah, I went back through my notes and it ended up being about 13%.
Wow.
With the addition of the rum brought it up to that, or?
That was before barrel.
Okay. And you said it was before barrel. Yeah.
So who knows what it is after?
This is a good end of night beer, and I'm glad that I'm sitting safely at my home here so I can finish the rest of this bottle.
Man, I'm going out driving after this. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go run in traffic, but yeah. I'll let Brian talk about this beer a little bit because he might have some
Did you get a score?
impressions.
Did you drop a score yet?
41.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, Brian Shar.
Yeah, sorry, my phone call to my daughter kind of bled into the first part of the show. That wasn't.
Nobody knows. It's all right.
No, and she'll never listen to this, so she won't be embarrassed by whatever I said. So that'll be cool.
Well, I am.
yeah,
so she will.
Well, you'll be embarrassed for me and her, so I appreciate that.
Sure. Let's say that. Let's call it for that
Yes.
reason. Yeah.
Yes, and you can pay her therapy bills. So, or at least maybe kick in a little bit or something. That'll be a few years down the road. So I love the name of this, the coconut hammock. I can think about 12 things that could possibly name, and they're all hilarious. So that's a good name for this beer. So this is a specialty wood aged beer, rum barrel aged, coconut, vanilla beans, and cacao nibs. And these are things that really all blend well together. And the way that you blended them is, I think, extremely harmonious, to kind of echo what Brian had said. I think largely I would agree with what I just heard Brian talk about. The aroma of this beer, it's medium coconut.
Except I didn't even mention spice, so I'm embarrassed now. I meant to comment about that, but I'll let you.
Well, let's discuss this maybe now rum. Or later, because I wasn't sure. I saw that on the label if that meant spiced rum, or spiced in the sense that it's a beer that also has coconut, vanilla, and cacao, which those are always
So he came in late to the game. He said it was a spiced rum barrel. So yeah, and I'm now that I'm tasting it more, I'm also like alongside with the rum. There's also the spiced rum component.
But that brings up a good point, especially if you're going to enter something like this. Is
right.
How to label that properly. Do you know, Brandon? Do you happen to know what spices were in the rum of the barrel, or it sounds like it was just like a thing that fell off the back of the truck, and you just
kind of
the thing, right? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and kind of the other question that brings up is, let's discuss this now for a second. Coconut, vanilla, and cacao, are those considered spices, vegetables? They're not fruits, are they? Or is coconut a fruit? Or if you have a coconut beer, is that a fruit beer? Is it a spice beer? Is chocolate make it a spice beer?
Yeah.
Vanilla.
Makes it for sure.
These are always things that I think baffle people. That's worth having, I think, a short discussion about where do you enter a beer, let's say barrel aside, that's got coconut or vanilla or chocolate. And, Brian, what do you think about that?
Well, this is 33B. I think that pretty much specialty barrel, like pretty much covers everything, right?
Well, right. But like, what if you didn't have the barrel and you had like a coconut beer? That's like probably going to be spice. It's going to be spice or vegetable. That's a vegetable. Yeah. But vanilla and chocolate, I think those probably fall in that category too, right? If it wasn't a barrel aged,
I consider chocolate to be a vegetable. Have a well-rounded meal and there's no carrots around. Chocolate bar is fine.
What happens if you go tropical and you throw a pineapple in with it?
Oh.
Do you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain, Brandon?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go specialty with it then.
I love getting caught in the rain.
Experimental beer.
Well, what I like about this is generally the spices in the spice rum are like allspice, cloves, star anise, cinnamon, nutmeg, sometimes vanilla also. So those allspices work really well with an oatmeal stout or with an imperial stout, excuse me. And then you add all the other stuff on top of it. What works with this beer is just is everything sort of blends together, and it's hard to determine where the spices are coming from. Is that the malt, or is it like an allspice thing that you're getting from the rum barrel? You don't actually know, and I don't want to know. I like
alcohol
like
as a spicy. Yeah, a smooth alcohol can have a spicy component too.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, Shark, continue, please.
Yeah, I'll continue. You mentioned allspice, and I'll briefly bring this up. So the British when they discovered allspice, they called it allspice because it tasted like the 3 spices that the British were familiar with at the time. It was like cinnamon and 2 other things. Yeah. And they're British, and the British always loved the bland food and the bland whatever. And they discovered this like 500 years ago. Oh, it tastes like allspices. It tastes like all 3. So they called it allspice.
Nutmeg, of course. Yeah.
Cinnamon, nutmeg, and soot.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. So that's where in all seriousness, I listened to a podcast about that. That's why they call it allspice, because that's what they thought it was like 500 years ago. Okay, so this almost smells like a sweet mocha beverage, right? It's not that far into the coffee side, but it's reminiscent of something like
this could be a latte,
something like that. Yeah, it could be a latte. Not something as far as hazelnut, because there's no hazelnut in this, but something that maybe gives you a hint of sweetness in the aroma. That's not actual sweetness, like a hazelnut. Yeah. So there's some dark malt and chocolate aroma at a low level. And this is partly why everything blends so harmoniously in this beer. It's hard to differentiate between, is there chocolate malt? Is it cacao nibs? Where is that actually coming from? Is it the vanilla component that chocolate has? It's really, really blended perfectly. There's a low roast, probably from, I pick up, I may have been talking myself into a low roast, but I get a low roast character. No hop aroma, no off aromas. Oddly, I didn't get, when it was colder, any ethanol out of this. And I still don't. And it's really a testament to the quality of the fermentation that this doesn't smell hot alcohol, right? And when talking about flavor, I'll talk about that a little bit more. So 10 out of 12 for aroma. Appearance, 3 out of 3. It's extremely dark brown, essentially black. Here at the very bottom, you see kind of some brown character. You see a reflection on my screen right there. Yay. It's clear to the extent you can tell in a beer like this. Usually I'll kind of tilt it and look through like a very thin layer of a beer, and something really dark like this, that'll give you an idea of, kind of an idea of whether it's clear or yeasty, hazy, whatever. It's imperfect, but it kind of gives you a macro sense of where on the spectrum between hazy and clear. Is it more, is there like stuff floating in it, or is it clear? This is more clear. Hi guys. You can tell I've been drinking some 13+%.
Yeah, we're all getting loopy right now. So
I wish it was on your guys' level right now.
Well, you know what, Brandon? Level. Technically, we are at work, so I mean.
Oh, okay, all
right.
We're colleagues here. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Shar. Just go ahead and through. Don't worry about us. Just keep going.
We're having a good time. This is the show. We're having fun. At Philadelphia NHC, I judge strong beer, and by the time there's like 13 regions, by the time we got through our 10th barley wine at like 12%, we're like showing each other pictures of our kids, and it's like, no, we have to finish judging. We have to get done with this.
I would have.
And those last 2 or 3 were so tough.
There's no way.
My God. That was hilarious and awesome. So 3 out of 3 for appearance. Head is low and persistent. That's fine. Okay. So flavor of 15 out of 20. Initially, you get coconut flavor, chocolate, sort of a low roast, and for the first time, you get a little bit of an ethanol rum character, and not even like a bite, but you get a perception of like a little sweet ethanol and a little rum. And it's really amazing. I mean, there's so many ways for a beer like this to go harsh, biting, fusel. just from high temperature fermentation of your beer, from the alcohol that's left in the barrel. There's so many ways for this just to go horribly wrong. And this went the exact opposite direction. This is really amazingly fermented, and there's nothing harsh or biting about the alcohol. It was probably 15%, plus after you count the rum in this thing. Medium hop bitterness comes up in the mid palate. It gets a little lost amid all the other flavors. And I don't mean that in a bad way. This is not like a muddle of flavors. This is a harmonious blend of flavors where the hop bitterness, it's there, but it's not the star. I don't get really any hop flavor. Again, the hop flavor is not the star. And I'll be curious about your recipe and like where you put hops in this. Really well attenuated for such a big beer. I think it has like some characteristics of sweetness just from all the coconut, the vanilla, the chocolate. But to me, I mean, this is not like a 10.0 fermentation, but this is also not something that finished at 1050. I mean, to my perception, I'll be curious what the final gravity was.
Should we guess and put bets on this? Like,
I'm gonna guess this finished at 1035.
1035. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm gonna guess this is perceived as much better attenuated. That's my guess. I'm totally pulling that out of my ass right now.
I'm gonna say 1028.
Oh, that was my guess too.
Is it like a showcase showdown where you can't go over?
It's true.
No, I just said a guess in my mind and it was 1028. It's like,
all right.
So
you guys have 1020. I have 1035.
All right, sure. Finish at 1030 and they can seem a little sweet. This one is not as sweet. I don't know.
Agreed. But sometimes the perception of attenuation varies from the actual final gravity. Finished is really well balanced between coconut and vanilla on the one hand and kind of some rum ethanol on the other. That may be some residual bitterness, but it's not a harsh rum / ethanol part of that balance. The cacao blends really well with the dark malts to the point where it's hard to tell where the dark malts end and the cacao nibs begin. The one thing I'm not, this is partly why everything blends so well together. It's difficult for me to tell for a wood-aged beer how much wood is in here. The wood's going to give you vanillin, going to give you vanilla character. It's also going to give you a little astringency and a little structure. And I'm not getting the tannins and the structure from the wood that I would expect. And that may just be the function of the fact there's just so much happening in this beer.
I get some tannins. For me, this beer, for being as big as it is and sweet as it is, it dries out.
It dries out and you get the tannin at the end. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I get it anyway.
Yeah, you know what? Now that I've said that, it's warmed up some. I was talking about how well attenuated this is. So yeah, I get a little, maybe that's what I was thinking of at the end is ethanol is maybe a little bit of that oak structure. But
yeah, the tannin blends with the booze and it kind of tails out and it, it keeps going a little bit. But
it's really good. 15 out of 20. Mouthfeel 5 out of 5. Full body, low carb, definite warming, creamy despite the high alcohol. Overall impression, 8 out of 10. I really love, and I probably should have gone a little higher. I really love that this Imperial Stout is good on its own, but it's a backdrop for some other flavors that really stand out against it, against such a big beer, but also really blend well with the Imperial Stout. So you've got this coconut, this vanilla, this cacao that could just overwhelm everything. I mean, we've all had beers with vanilla added that are just unpleasantly, excessively vanilla. And it's like,
sickly sweet vanilla. Yeah.
Sickly sweet is the key, and that's unpleasant. And this is not that at all. There's a lot going on here, but in a good way where it's harmonious. I'll be curious about how you aged this in the wood, how you got the coconut in. I really like this beer a lot. I gave this 41 out of 50.
Wow.
And I think Brian gave this a 41 also. And frankly, I maybe should have gone even higher on this, but this is excellent beer. Anytime you get 40 plus, it's an achievement, and I think this is extremely well done. And I wish I had like another 6-pack of this, and I had 5 more to drink after this. So thank you, Brandon. This is really good.
All right, Brandon, you're up.
All right.
So the recipe was 18.
First, tell us the final gravity, please.
Oh, final gravity, 1030.
Oh,
right between us.
You guys were closer. I went over. So Showcase Showdown, I lose.
yeah, but we're all pretty good about it.
Pretty close.
Yeah. All right. We're a bunch of dummies. Okay, what's the recipe, Brandon? Thank you for having that, by the way.
Oh, yeah. It's 18 pounds 2-row, 2 pounds Crystal 40, 1 pound Crystal 120, 1.5 pounds roasted barley, 12 ounces chocolate, 1 pound 8 ounces rye malt, 1 pound 8 ounces flaked oats, done on cal ale with a huge starter. Started at 65 degrees for roughly 3 or 4 days, and then I let it free rise.
Wow.
I think OG was like 1122 or 1123.
Before you put it in the barrel.
Yes. And it's mashed at 154 for 60. So
okay.
Okay, what about the spice additions?
So this is quite an interesting beer because I was trying to figure out how to get the coconut, vanilla, and the nibs in. I got this idea from listening to Jay Goodwin about how he had like a hop back for his adjuncts. So I did kind of the same thing. I took a 1.75 liter Pico keg, and then a 5 gallon keg, and I hooked a pump into it. So CO2 bled everything down, and then I put a nylon sack of the 2 pounds of coconut, so a pound toasted, a pound not toasted, 2 vanilla beans, and I think it was 6 ounces of nibs. Threw that in the bag, threw that in the keg, and then I literally just pumped over it for I think 12 hours.
Okay.
Brilliant. Wow. Brilliant.
That's a really smart idea.
Well, and did
Jesus,
you put any nibs in anywhere else for aging or anything?
No, that was it. Once I got to where I wanted it to be, because I taste it every couple hours or whatever. Yeah. And then once I kind of got to kind of right about where I wanted to be, I was tasting it like every half hour.
Okay. Because
Jay Goodwin is a pretty smart dude, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's a hell of a lot of nib character. I would never in a trillion billion years ever thought that the beer only had 12 hours of nib contact.
Yeah.
You know what? When he talked about it, he started to get my brain going because he was talking about how a lot of the adjuncts are more about contact time than a surface area for the most part. So it was just kind of funny that he started talking about that. I think he was talking about a ginger sour beer that he makes.
Okay.
He was talking about his ginger that he just kept pumping over until he got where he wanted to. And I thought, I think I could do that with coconut. So.
Wow. Inspiration.
And then, so after it's pumped through, then it went into the barrel?
No. So that was right after it came out of the barrel.
Okay. All right. Okay. How long was it in the barrel for?
About a month and a half, 2 months.
Okay. And what size barrel?
5 gallon.
5 gallon barrel in a
6.2 gallons or something.
Yeah, sure. Wow. That seems like a long time for a small barrel, but like everything of what you're saying sounds like it wouldn't work. Like if you came on the show, I feel, and you said, "Hey, I had this idea to make this beer. This is what I would do." I think we would all go, "No, that's going to be too much of this or too much of that." But it works in a different way. I mean, am I wrong about that? I feel like a month and a half in a 5 gallon barrel. I feel like that's too much time. but it works really, really well.
It's kind of funny because I really think that pumping it over those adjuncts, I really think pulled a lot of the fusels out of the nose of the beer. Because I mean, obviously coming out of the barrel, it was hot, but just pumping it, I think I put it on the adjuncts or pumped it over the adjuncts probably a day or two afterwards. And about after the 12 hours, it had removed a lot of those just hot aromas off of it.
I mean, that makes sense. You're going to lose aromatics either way you look at it when you're mixturating beer, right? I don't know.
This is the new secret to making great beer, I guess. Yeah.
I mean,
we're learning it right here on the Brewing Network.
I mean, I don't often judge the beers or give scores, but I would definitely give it a 41, 42. I mean, it's a little hotness at the end, but it's a rum barrel. It's a rum barrel.
Yeah.
Spiced rum barrel at that. So you want a little bit of, I mean, rum isn't really known for being, I mean, look, you get like the 20-year-old, 23-year-old rums, and those are drink more like bourbons, but those drink more like 12-year-old bourbons, right? Rum is sort of still kind of just hot inherently. There's really not a whole lot of that in here. And then you combine it with everything else that's so very artfully done. This is a very, very good beer. This is a very
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I was hitting, trying to hit here was a Samoa cookie. Kind of where I was trying to go with it.
Okay.
You definitely got it way in that direction.
Thank you.
I like it.
I love the Samoas, and now that you say it, I'm like, yeah, I get a lot of Samoa character in this, and I wish I had I had a 6-pack of this and a box of Samoas. But oh my God, that would be like the best Saturday night ever.
A 6-pack? Get the fuck out of here.
Okay, a 4-pack of this and a box of Samoas. And oh man, that would be a Saturday night for the ages, right there.
2 boxes of Samoas.
So
let's not get greedy. You know, it's just.
Well, Brandon, do you have any questions for the guys on any of their feedback or anything else?
Well, I was going to answer why it was coconut hammock. So my buddy who dropped the barrel off for me used to be a bodybuilder, and we found a picture of him in all oiled up in his coconut hammock.
Okay.
Hell yes.
Here I was picturing a nice like island location with coconuts over you in a hammock and just like breathing in the island air and sipping this beer.
No, please tell me it's because of the coconut oil and not because his balls were like coconuts. Please tell me that.
Just coconut oil. Just coconut oil.
Okay. Oh, thank God. Right. That makes me feel a lot happier.
Cooper, it's not a remote location, but it sure is humid. I think down there either way.
It's humid.
My only question was really going to be the fact of where to place it as far as composition, but we kind of already
we hammered that out.
33B is fine for it. I wouldn't put it in experimental or anything.
Yeah, these guys talked me into. I wasn't really getting the wood because there's just so much happening here, but they're right. There is like there's some tannic wood structure in the finish of this that really brings it together, and it's so subtle that it's not like, oh, here's a lot of wood here. And that's one of the problems with wood aged beers is people are like, oh, I want to be like I'm licking a barrel to show the judges that I wood aged this beer.
Oh, you've had beer.
This is a very this is a very subtle kind of wood age. So the whole thing is very, it's harmonious in a way that most beers like this aren't even close. And that's even commercial beers.
Agreed.
With this much stuff. Most are not even close to being like this.
I'm definitely getting some wood myself in the flavor, you know.
Well, I know.
You and me both, my friend.
We can tell. All right, Brandon, we'll let you go, brother. Thanks, man. Get back to work.
I appreciate, thanks.
Yeah.
Get yourself home. Yeah.
Thanks, Brandon.
We'll see you, man. Thank you.
Have a good one. Thanks, Brandon. Bye-bye.
We got to take a quick break, everybody. Hang on.
Yes.
Dr. Homebrew will be right back.
Now serving patient number 189. Number 189 to the counter, please.
Now back to Dr. Homebrew.
He's in
All right,
Indiana
everybody,
somewhere.
thanks for sticking with us, everyone. We are about to get out of here. This has been Dr. Homebrew. Just wanted to thank Brandon again real fast for his beer. That was a very good beer. And now I want some rum. But I still have half a bottle. I haven't eaten dinner yet. It's 10 o'clock. And I'm ready to eat dinner and get really drunk off of this half of bottle of beer.
And rum fire. Time for rum fire.
I think I would throw up if I drank some rum fire, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I probably would if I drank some right now, too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no
All
way.
right.
But
Let me finish off the show here. Thank you, everybody. This has been
thanks to
Dr.
Club Doze for coming on and talking to us a little bit about their regional judging for national homebrew competition. I really appreciate that. Thanks again to Brandon for sending in the beers. Thank you to my co-host Brian and Brian. I appreciate you guys as well. And you can tell whenever we have a really high alcohol beer because I have to lower their microphones toward the end of the show more than once.
So if you want to send beer,
I can't hear you.
Shut up, Brian.
Shut up, Brian. If you want to send beer to us, please email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com and you'll get me and I will answer you. And I'll tell you how to send your beer to us because we need beer. We need beer badly and desperately. Please send us your beer.
We do, absolutely, very much. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. If you want more great radio like this, well, we have 160-something shows going back to, I don't even know however many years. There's also The Session, of course, and Brew Strong. A bunch of fun stuff. So
Heads and Tails?
Yeah, well, yeah, Heads and Tails, whatever. All right, everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you.
Okay. Peace.
Nice.